Hey, I'm Matt Murray from iZotope.
And I'm Evan Allen from iZotope.
And we're back here at Reverb.com with just a few quick vocal production tips on how to make your vocals stand out in your mix.
So the first thing we wanted to show was really, so when you actually have a vocalist in the booth, or whether it's yourself, and maybe it's not a booth, maybe it's your bedroom, whatever, it can often be, rather intimidating to be tracking vocals. Many people find that it is much more comfortable with at least like a little bit of reverb or a little bit of delay or something, just to give you that confidence when you're singing, so you're not afraid to belt it out and whatnot. So we've loaded up Nectar just on a vocal here, and one of the things we wanted to show was just the quick access to just completely different sounds. One thing that our company is known for is the quality of our presets and just having a bunch of really good, just right off the bat. Is this awesome? Perfect. Use it. Let's just take a quick flip through some just to see how easy and quick it is to get a great sound and the diversity of sounds. So this is just the dry vocal.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure? What burns the ache? Walking out of one shadow, only then to.
So as soon as you've found a preset that you're happy with, one thing I would recommend doing is, again, mentioning that oftentimes it is sort of intimidating to go in and just start laying down vocals. We have a tool here, so if we click on where it says mixing mode right now, we will go into tracking mode. And this has changed, so the DSP that's running within Nectar to be lower latency and lower CPU usage. So that way you can track, and you're not gonna have like a long delay between when you're singing and what you're hearing in your headphones. So it's just a really quick, easy way to get just a really good sound out of Nectar. It's just running in real time as a plugin, so it's not writing that. So you can quickly get a good sound to, again, listen to while you're singing, and then completely change it later if you want to.
And something I really love about those presets is they're all set up by different genre. So I think you were looking at the alternative and indie presets, but there's other stuff in there for pop, hip hop, dance, country, soul, any other kind of music you might be working on. There's even stuff in there for voiceover effects if you're trying to do just dialogue, maybe not something that's musical. Another problem I always run into, and we were talking to some of the people here at Reverb.com about this, is harmonies. If you're anything like my band, you have one singer who's decent and not really many after that. Or, he's sitting in there all day in the vocal booth recording lots and lots of double takes. Can be really time consuming.
There is a tool within Nectar that actually can generate harmonies based off of the key of your song, or you can even play in notes with like a MIDI keyboard and have those generated to sing along with your voice. Now, right now we're in the overview mode, which is sort of like quick access to all the basic controls of the different modules. But if I click on overview here, we go into advanced mode, and we'll see that actually right now I am on the Harmony module. So again, this is the dry vocal.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure?
So I can turn this on, and I now have 4 additional voices. I've told Nectar that I know that I am in B major. If I didn't know the scale or the key of my song, I could actually hit start detection, let it play for 10 seconds or so, and it's going to figure out what the key is for me. But I've told it I'm in B major. I have a voice that's down a 4th. I have one that's up a 3rd, and now we can mix in these other harmonies.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure?
So bypassed.
Walking out of one shadow.
And we can make this as robotic or as organic if we want to. We could go all out with like pitch correction and all, but this cool thing down here is called variation, and we can control the variation individual per voice based on pitch changes or timing changes. And again, one of the things that I find personally annoying is double tracking vocals. This enables you to do that without having to do that. So we can either have it, again, we can control the intervals that were here. I can also have it set up in unison. So if I didn't feel like doubling up my vocals, I can just set that to unison and add in a little bit of time variation.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure?
So it's a really quick, easy way to just layer up your vocals without having to spend hours in the studio tracking.
Yeah, and you can get anything from just that slightly thickened up double vocal that's pretty natural sounding because we're letting some variations in pitch and time go through, up to a whole robotic army of pitch corrected singers behind you. So you can really get a lot of mileage out of that module.
Now, one of the things that I would say is probably safe to say is one of the most used things in vocal production is reverb.
Sure.
Reverb is something that you definitely need to be careful with because it's easy to overdo and can sometimes have sort of the adverse effect of what you actually want it to do. So we're going to load up the Reverb module here. And I should point out, this is modeled after one of those huge plate reverbs.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure? What burns the ache?
Now, something that's really important in your song and your mix is the sense of depth. So you want to feel like you're actually in a location and sort of in a room. Reverb is something that can potentially wash out a vocal, so then it's just sort of somewhere in the background. It's pretty, but you want to make sure it's still in your face. 2 quick tips on this. So one is using a filter to get rid of some of the high frequencies in just the reverb signal, because that's really going to clash with the lead. So here we have a low pass filter that we can load up. And if I'm gonna get rid of all the dry. Right now we're only listening to the reverb signal.
Do we ever let go?
But that's just gonna get enough out of the way that your lead vocal will still crunch through, even with a lot of reverb. Check it out.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure?
And the other thing that's really important in terms of depth with reverb is pre-delay. So as we're talking in this room right here, we can hear there's a tiny delay between when I'm speaking and when we hear the reverberation from the back wall back here. And that's very important to a sense of distance. And as I adjust the pre-delay, you'll feel the vocal again, that reverb will feel a little bit better separated here. So let's crank this up a little bit.
Do we ever let go of what makes us sure?
And that, again, both is going to help with just sense of space. It's going to be, again, you can have a really lush, pretty reverb, but still not wash out the lead vocal, which ultimately, for most of us, is going to be the most important part of our song.
Yeah, and what I think is really handy here too is this whole reverb module is within the Nectar plugin. So I'm not working on an aux track that has a reverb, and if you want to do that filtering, then that's another EQ plugin you'd have to add. So
Right,
it's doing some pretty complex processing, but with some really kind of very simple high-level controls. And as you guys can see from the screenshot here, there are a ton of different modules that are built into Nectar. So it's really every single tool you'd ever need to dial in the perfect vocal sound. You can completely build your own custom vocal chain. Thanks a lot for checking our video out about vocal production. If you want to learn more about the Nectar 2 production suite or any other iZotope products, you can check them out right here on Reverb Sync.
What makes us sure?